Yeah, I haven't talked about it just because it's actually like a heinous Vancouver event. But there was like a murder in Vancouver, and it was like a mid 30s dad got stabbed to death outside of Starbucks in front of his wife and toddler daughter for asking guy to not vape. That story made me feel like a little sick to read. Partially because like it almost describes me to a T, but also because like I mean that really sends it home. You know, when you see like a murder and it's in another part of the city or something like that, you're like, I don't go there. Not saying they deserved it. I'm just saying like it's you can't relate as much. But the dude just hanging out in downtown Vancouver with his family, getting killed for asking someone to not blow vape smoke like in his toddler's face, like that. I could see that happening to me. Now I'm just gonna walk in the other direction though, or maybe run in the other direction. It's not a bid. This people are. You guys watch too much Germa. It's not a bid. I'm being sincere with you. Especially because, like, on Saturday there was like the elbow smash thing happened to me, and I was like, well, like nothing went wrong, but it was like a little sinister. And then it was like the next day that a dude got just randomly murdered, essentially, and I was like, I gotta move, man. Yeah, then I did the execution tier list. So it was like a pretty sickening couple of days. But I feel like I've come out on the other side, like a little normal. That being said, I do think I have to move to the suburbs. Not that you can't also be killed in the suburbs, but suburbs are scarier to me. Well, like, I don't know. We've talked about it before. Your risk of, like, experiencing crime is, I live in the city, is higher in the city. But most of it is property theft, being harassed. Your risk in the suburbs is like if someone it wants you dead. I mean, that's where every episode of like Forensic Files it starts, right? It's never like, oh, in downtown Manhattan, there's like an unsolved mystery. It's always like in some town you've never heard of in the Midwest. Like someone broke into their house and killed them. So I think like in the rural areas, I guess suburbs aren't rural, but like in rural areas you get like more heinous crime. I don't know. I don't want to go down this road, but real risk in the suburbs is death of the spirit. I'm like, you can hate me if you want. I live in the city. I like the city. My ass is getting kind of wistful for the suburbs. I think you can still maintain a fulfilling life in the suburbs just because, like, there's no sushi restaurant within 20 minutes of you. That doesn't mean, like, your soul has to die. It was different before we had a kid because we could take advantage of the amenities in a city a little bit more easily. But nowadays, I don't have the time to do, like, cool cultural stuff anyway. And we have to eat at restaurants that have high chairs and ample space and parking. So I'm like, honestly, I think that pretty much means, like, the suburbs is... Maybe watch some movies. Yeah, there's some trade-offs. It would be weird to like go for a long walk and there be nothing but houses though. Like that seems crazy to me. Your kid will grow up. I mean, like I don't have to make it like this. There's positives for a child about not being in the city proper in Vancouver as well. Like there's some stuff that we see on like at least a weekly basis that like I don't know how a 5-year-old reconciles that. You never lived in the suburbs? No, I spent like my whole teenage years in the suburbs. And I don't know, people are like it killed my spirit. It was totally fine for me. It shows. I've lived in Vancouver for like 12 years. What do you want? I've seen the upper crust and I've seen the patina on the cast iron pan. I hated living in the suburbs for every minute. Why? I'm not like I see the suburbs being bad from the perspective of like having to own a car to then drive almost anywhere is pretty bad. But like the other thing is if we move to the suburbs, it would probably be the suburbs of Vancouver anyway. So you could still walk within like 10 minutes to probably like 17 different grocery stores. Countryside? No, that's not for me. Suburbs, people are horrible. Car-centric design crushes you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just built different. Maybe I'm God's strongest soldier. Doesn't really bother me that much. When I'm in this, I mean, I live in a very walkable city. Is your kid gonna hang out at grocery stores all day when she gets older? No, I'll drive her ass to her friend's house. People in the suburbs get politely asked for change and they make a Facebook post telling all their friends, "Bro, I live in the city." I'm catching so many strays. My ass is dealing with shit that like 90% of chat is not dealing with on a daily basis. I'm dodging, like human turds, and I'm happy to do it. I'm seeing like, open drug use, and I'm crossing the street when somebody that looks insane is carrying like a steel rod down the street and smashing it into the sidewalk every time they take a step. People are like they're angry at me, like they're doing headcanon that I'm like the guy who invented suburbs. Hang on. I live in San Francisco. I feel you, brother. Okay, you can insult me. Nobody else, though. Also, I hate to say this, because again, I have a chip on my shoulder. When you pay big city prices to live in the city, you want to think that it's like better in every way. Maybe it's just like the novelty factor. But when I'm in like smaller town Washington State, going to stores with my in-laws, I'm like, actually, I can't believe I'm saying this. People are just nicer. They got smiles on their face. They're saying after you, after you. You almost feel like you're in this together. People are letting traffic through a little bit more than they do in the big city. Everyone just like it's just a slower pace. Whereas in the city, like people honk at your ass for stopping at a red light and not turning right immediately, running over pedestrians. Like everybody's in such a rush. Like I think they're more stressed out. I'm not saying they're worse people, but I think the lifestyle makes you a little bit more stressed out. So like whenever you're always late for stuff because there's always traffic, because there's a lot of people, because everybody's also late for stuff. And then like, one person makes you 15 seconds late because they don't want to run over a pedestrian, and you're like, ah! Meanwhile, your ass is just chilling in Mount Vernon. You're going to the Tulip Festival. It's a two-way stop. Someone's been waiting there for 30 seconds. You drive up very slowly, and they go after you. And you go, you know what, sir? You've been waiting after you. And they give you like a salute, and they say, thank you, young man. And that man was me. Also, listen, this is not that relevant to my life, but Vancouver has like so many beautiful people in it. Everybody, there's like people trying to get into modeling, people trying to get into acting, like Olympic athletes. People, they take care of themselves. They ski, they swim, they jog, they run triathlons. I'm like a Vancouver 4, right? My ass is walking around Mount Vernon. I'm like, I could own this place in 6 months. I'm like a Vancouver 4. I'm like I don't get too high on my own supply too much. I would say I'm like a Mount Vernon 8. Like people would be turning their heads when I walk down the street a little bit. That's all I'm going to say, okay? The humblest streamer of all time. Yeah, Jerma's a Mount Vernon 9. Chibli with the face app filter, he's like a Mount Vernon 11. I like Mount Vernon. You can post this to Mount Vernon. I got nothing against Mount Vernon. They got a nice co-op grocery store that makes smoothies. I don't know if this is every small town in the Pacific Northwest, but the main street has 30 businesses and 9 of them are breweries and brew pubs. I don't know what that says about society. That is all small towns in the Pacific Northwest, though. Okay. Isn't Vancouver kind of a small town? Well, like compared to like Jakarta, I suppose. But Mount Vernon, I think, literally has like 15,000 people that live there. It's pretty tiny. Oh, you know what? I don't know. You're right. I don't know if I turned my speakers on. Jakarta mentioned.